childhood? Like, what does fitness do for you in terms of your education and life?
Like physically, after playing a sport, I think most people, unless you're one of the people who are extremely blessed, your body will change over time if you start working out like naturally because like we don't realize that in basketball you're running like every single day. You're not
Yeah.
eating as much. Like you just post like your sport, it's almost impossible to attain the physique that you had during it
Sure.
unless you are on
Rare.
your way.
Unless
Yeah.
you're still running 2 hours a day.
Exactly. And for me, once I finished, I was like, oh my God, I can breathe. And then you obviously get to a point where you're like, okay, like I'm ready to get into like some sort of fitness again. And like I just think I enjoy going to the gym and lifting weights. Personally for me, I like that better than like I don't even play in like leagues.
Hmm.
Can seem weird, but
How is it? How is Will? Since Will is like top of the food chain, obsessed with fitness, nutrition, like everything. How has that influenced the way you see fitness, or like even how you use fitness in your own life? Because you guys are together, you
yeah,
live together.
I think it helps in the sense of like I don't feel obligated to go to the gym, but like because he goes too, like it's a little bit easier because you both go spend some time there, and it's not necessarily like one person sitting waiting on the other. And like because he loves the gym so much, like he appreciates when I'm there. Like he's not stressing about like how long I'm there or like whatever the case may be. And I also just think it's important to have someone who's like into the same things as you. I'm not into it to the degree he is. He's a lot more like well versed on it. But I don't know.
Like,
Obviously, we have our moments where I'm just like, shut up. I'm gonna eat this chocolate, and I don't want you to say anything to me.
okay, well, don't act like I don't eat chocolate. Like,
I
that's
would
another
get scared.
perception. That's a perception that you guys need to squash. That I'm living this unsustainable,
No, and that's the
like
thing.
I'm
It's like
always fasting and stuff. Like, don't.
hey, he doesn't just eat salads and like he's not like that. He's
Right,
no.
but for you want to be able to like shut it off. Where Will's almost like your world, like it's just what you're most interested in.
Yeah, and like he's not like ridiculous about it. He eats massive plates of food. Like we do not eat the same in terms of portions.
Oh, massive,
Yeah,
man!
I'll be
Pasta
having
yesterday.
oh my God, it's ridiculous. But like he also like works out and burns so much more calories than me.
Right.
I have a sweet tooth, so we have different things. Like he might want like a massive plate of pasta where I'm like okay with an okay size, and then I want some Brooksides later, you know?
Mhm. And I might, and like she said, I might give her a side eye or something.
You might like take the bag and look at the sugar count, and that's when I'm like, get on my face.
Will.
Man, it doesn't happen every time though. Like, please don't make it seem like it's every time.
Every 3 times.
I can just no man. I've experienced it.
So like everyone's been a victim of it. He's not an animal about it. It's just like obviously naturally when you're with someone who's so into the gym and physically fit, like you think a bit more about what you eat.
I feel like I'm put in an awkward position because I feel like, and this is on the podcast, like I feel like if somebody is ever like generally concerned or thinks about their fitness level or their body and stuff, um, or has ever said anything like, worries about those things, like, and you know what I mean? Like if I'm gonna say something, like, by the way, like that's probably not the greatest thing to eat right now. Like that's not a horrible thing to say.
No. But I just think it's like recognizing when someone's just having like a little treat and being like, okay.
I completely understand that. Here's another thing that maybe not you do, but I think maybe that's why I say it, because there's a lot of people around the world that, they look at themselves and they might have certain days where they're like, I don't like the way I look, but then they're snacking or they're doing these things. So like, that's my way of just kind of like, I don't know, like just saying like, just know what happens if this is like a
Right.
constant lifestyle, like the path that like where it leads, like just like kind of like little reminders, like I've never like grabbed food from you and been like, you can't eat that or like that. Like it's more of a sarcastic joke. So I just want people to think like I'm not here like, yo, stop eating that, like
No.
you're gonna gain
And I
weight.
do that anyways. Listen, he don't tell me what to eat.
Tell him, Shan. Tell him.
But I get what you're saying, Liam, and I think it's just a fine line of like, and also to the point of like people like not feeling good about themselves. I think even like the fittest of the fittest people on Instagram, like these days, everyone has their days when they just don't feel great. So it's also just like the one day that you might say to someone like, "Oh, like careful about that," might be the day that they were feeling really shitty.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just
Yeah.
really hard to like weigh those things.
I would
For
also
sure.
say, like, I think most people are aware that if I go and grab a beer, or if I go grab and eat a whole bag of chips and I choose to do that, I think subconsciously, like, I know it's not putting me in the right direction of maybe what I may say where I want to go. Um, so, especially for in Shan's case, like, she's your girlfriend. She sees what you do constantly. It's always around her, and it's known that um, this isn't the way to get in shape if you're just eating junk all the time. So like, it's important. I think it's important to the way you kind of throw your advice or be like, yo, sarcastic, like.
I get that, but I'm going to challenge you guys that
Okay.
North America is overly obese, and people will say these things, and people will talk about I'm cool with like all this, but 10 years down the road, like, is that gonna are you going to be in the same mindset? Are people like, yeah, like maybe it is, but it's the consistency. Like that's the biggest thing with health, wellness, fitness is
For sure.
consistency. So like it's not me like saying like you can't eat this today. It's just a reminder. It's like, yo, like consistency matters. Like these things, and the numbers don't lie. And what you said, and again, what Shan said is like most university athletes when they finish, like you see an increase or a decline in fitness or wellness, and how do you combat that, right? And that's just like kind of a
Yeah, you
natural
know what it
thing.
is.
And
Yeah.
and yeah, like maybe she doesn't like that, but like we've had talks about it before. It's just one of those things where it's like I, she knows that I also have a strong, like, like people want to be happy, people want to be healthy, like health matters. I'm not saying like Shan's eating a whole bag of like Brooksides every night, like that's not the thing, but I just think that like people need to be stopped. People shouldn't be as sensitive if somebody's giving like a little, like, by the way, like, like there's, if you eat that chocolate bar, that's the
Yeah.
same, that's 2 days at the gym based on
And
what you do.
to be
It's just like,
fair, you know Shan can handle your jabs
of
because
course, of
you're
course,
together,
and
like,
that's,
you know each other so well.
you know what I mean. And that's just it. But like I do think that people, like, I'm not saying Shan's like this, but I find in like wellness, fitness, health, like people always put off the hard or the annoying things because they don't want to hear the facts. They don't want to hear the reality of this, like this lifestyle can lead to this, which can
Yeah.
then lead to depression, lead to loss of self-confidence, like all these little things, right? And you don't see them because you look at yourself all the time, or you're in the same, it's a routine, a structure that never changes. So that's just
That's why you see so many former student athletes fall off in terms of their fitness level, is because when they were in school and playing a sport, they didn't really have the choice. They didn't have to employ self-discipline to run for 2 hours and go play their sport. Whereas when they finish, they lose that part of the routine. That's like almost like you don't have an option to miss practice. You don't have an option to miss that game.
mm,
When you're outside and you're finished playing your sport, it's like it's only you and it's totally up to you. So the results that you get from your fitness is your own doing, right?
And rightfully so, like they might just want to breathe and relax and not look at a gym for a little bit. And I think it just that happens because it's so full force when you're playing, and then when you stop, it's like I can sleep in, I can get up and not have to go to gym today. I'm gonna do it, and then it just becomes like your regular routine until you reach a point where you're kind of like, uh-oh. But I just think,
and hopefully that isn't a deep hole that when you try to climb out, it's so far that you get, because a lot of people will dig themselves in holes that take longer than what their expectations of how long it will take or should take, right? That's like we always talk about, the instant gratification of okay, well, as you know, I was an athlete, it'll only take me like 3-4 weeks to burn off 20 pounds I added over the last 2 years. We're like, realistically, like, no, that's not realistic at all. It's like a healthy weight loss is like 1 to 2 pounds a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's following, like, that's eating really well all day long, like working out consistently. So like she said, like, that does happen, and it happens to more than just athletes. So that's something that people like, and like, just another thing to keep in mind is, like, if you do like dig a hole, like, understand, you know, what kind of the circumstances that you're getting yourself into fitness wise, let alone any other, you know, mind games, like.
But to that, I also think it's important to like also like flip the script and be like, regardless of how deep you are, like, it's not impossible. And I think that's like the fine line of like when you give someone criticism or when someone's in like a deep place, or like, because like I think another thing people need to remember is, especially when you are like fit or a former athlete and you are in the gym, or you're going to the gym and like you criticize someone who's overweight, like maybe because of this, like they feel like you're judging them when you mention these things, like, know what you're doing, you're risking all this stuff to yourself. They don't feel comfortable coming to a gym. They also might not know what they're doing. So I think there's these like little things that like we as former athletes or people who do work out need to consider when we're speaking about fitness, because it's not like an us versus you or an us versus them. It's like it should be more like a welcome way again of like, let's do this together. And I think a lot of the times it can become, you ate that, like you did that to yourself, like get to the gym. Okay, then what? So I think people need a bit more like openness and community and like less judgment, which is like, I'm not trying to say that you're judging them. I'm just saying, I think with the world we live in, people think it's easier than it is for people to walk into a gym and just.
I completely agree. That being said, like, if you were to look at a college student who's playing sports and he's a good athlete, and he's not studying and getting horrible marks, and like, what do you say to him? Like, do you give him, are you like, yo, you got to study, you
Yeah,
want to get
but that's
you want to study?
what I was trying to say.
Isn't like, and that's, he might not have experience in knowing how to study properly, but he, like, how does, do you know what I mean? Like, is it up to somebody else to get his marks up, or is he going to have to get his marks up at the end of the day? Analogy in terms of
different.
fitness.
That's why I don't think that there's a blanket answer to your question. I think someone might need more help than another. Someone might need a mentor. Someone might just need to fail a test to get it back. Someone might need a trainer. Someone might need to just see an inspiring story on Instagram.
It's one of those questions that it's not one size fit all, right?
And I think we're just too quick to say this works, go do it. Okay, just because it works for you and like 60% of the population doesn't mean it works for the next person. Maybe someone eats completely healthy and just like can't lose weight.
That is true. Like, people with thyroid problems, like, that's a fact. I've never said that everybody overweight is. I've never said that everybody overweight doesn't like care about their fitness or wellness or try hard.
I know you're saying, and I think that it's not even just that type of person. I think there's also people who are like girls who are super slim and want that like thick body that is like in right now. Like, everybody wants like an ass and some curves, and like that girl might be super insecure and not sure what to eat, and like there's just so many like sides to it all that I think, I don't know.
Thanks for tuning in to TOTFC podcast. If you liked it and you want to hear more, please share it with a friend, a family member, a teammate, or anybody. Like the video, consider subscribing to TOTFC podcast.